Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to be checking out yet another of these incredible 2020 Collect Day figures, and this is their Nautilus, and it is a very nice looking figure. Once again, dare I say, maybe even nicer than the Bellum Knight we recently looked at. This is another absolutely gorgeous sculpt and gorgeous paint scheme on the figure, and I really am quite blown away by this one specifically because, again, it's a very obscure species that we just don't see get figures ever, pretty much. And luckily for us, Collect Day stepped up this year and kind of thought outside the box. They didn't just stick with dinosaurs and mammals, which we didn't really get any mammals, but I think maybe these aquatic creatures were kind of replacing the mammals for this year at least. So it's nice to see them kind of catch up with these type of animals, as we haven't had many of them in the past, at least not that I can recall. So having a whole bunch this year was absolutely awesome. But you can see, looking at this one overall, the entire appearance to it is extremely striking and beautifully, beautifully detailed. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So looking at the animal as a whole, you can see up close that it is extremely nicely done as far as the detailing goes. Look at the very cool, very bumpy appearance to the top of our Nautilus, and I love that they've kind of given it a really nice brownish coloration, but the actual texturing looks great. But within that brown, you can see all these white spots, and then it's kind of bordered with a white that runs all over the place, very nicely dry brushed over top of the figure. And I think that has given it a very striking look, because just generally this area, of course the stripes look really cool, but this area in general looks so striking due to the way they've painted that and the way that that kind of tannish brown plays off of the white, and the white of course plays off of that tannish brown. As we come down here into the side of the animal, you can see a very nicely sculpted out eye, as well as a very nicely painted eye. You can see the eye is painted with a blackish coloration and does include a nice gloss coat on the eye itself to really nicely show that kind of wet look to the eye, even though the entire animal as a whole is kind of should have that wet look. But as we move out here, you can see how beautiful the sculpt is, and I love how they've given it like a brownish coloration in certain areas, but then out here you can see it's like a tan, and it looks gorgeous as far as that sculpt and detail goes. And on top of the really very striking aspect of this area up here, this general area with the sculpt is so striking. Again, it really makes the entire figure one of the most impressive figures for the 2020 line as far as I'm concerned, appearance-wise. Like, that is just beautiful in every possible way. And again, the incredible detailing does not cease as we move back here into the shell area. You can see now we have like some very nice black stripes, really nicely painted on there, very naturally painted. The paint application here is very realistic looking, does not look like paint on a figure at all as far as I'm concerned. It really genuinely looks like the color of the animal itself. And then you can also see some brown stripes that run down here. And if you get a nice close look here as I turn it, you can see like some very nice indentations along the shell, really giving you a beautiful idea of what the texturing of the figure looks like. There, as we turn it the whole way, look at how gorgeous that looks as we turn the figure and let that light shine off of it. And again, same deal over here on this side. Absolutely incredible sculpt work, again, on the part of Collect Day. But then you also see how these like brown stripes pick up right here, and then they pick up and run the course of the entire figure all the way up there to the top. And you can see how beautiful that looks. And it almost looks like there's like variations of that brown, a little bit lighter and a little bit darker in certain spots. But again, absolutely insanely nicely done figure, once again from Collect Day for the 2020 year, and another very cool aquatic species that I am happy to now introduce to my collection thanks to Collect Day. Now, this figure as a whole is not very large. It's definitely one of the smaller figures for the 2020 year. You're looking at about 4 inches or 10 centimeters in a length, and for a height about 2.5 inches or about 6.5, maybe close to 7 centimeters, somewhere in that range. And I knocked the poor guy over. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pachylovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our beautiful Collect Day Nautilus figure. And next to these guys right here, you should have a pretty good idea of what the size is of the figure. It is not very large, but it's also not very small. Honestly, as far as this species goes, I really think it's a perfect size for this type of a figure. Definitely very nicely done on the part of Collect Day. So this 2020 Collect Day Nautilus figure is awesome. It is a very cool, very underappreciated, I will say, species of marine animal that we just don't see get figures ever. And in fact, Collecta has created quite a few marine animals this year that we just have not seen get figures ever. And I'm really excited about that and really excited to add them to my collection. And this is definitely one of the figures I think I was looking forward to the most as far as the aquatic species that they've released this year, because the figure as a whole was just extremely striking as far as both sculpt and paint in the promotional images. And I definitely am happy to report that as far as transferring over to the figure in person, it is beautifully done and really nicely done as a whole. I think the sculpt is off the charts. Every ounce of fine detailing that should be on this type of a species is beautifully shown within the sculpt, and the paint job is pretty much just as nice as the sculpt itself, and they've given it a very striking paint scheme. Like, I feel like for this type of an animal, coming up with a paint scheme would be kind of a task. I feel like it would be very hard to come up with something that looks really nice and really natural on the species, but Collecta honestly has done it perfectly, and on top of giving it that very natural look to the color scheme as a whole, they've also given it a really nice natural paint job that, while looking natural, also looks flashy at the same time. So it stands out, but still does look genuinely like it could be the real coloration of the species. And I think that Collecta should definitely be commended for that. The figure, again, as a whole, very, very striking in both sculpt and paint aspect. And on top of those aspects, the figure being a Nautilus is just off the charts awesome in its own right. So, if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to Everything Dinosaur where you can head on over there right now and pick this figure up for yourself. So make sure you head down to the description, head to Everything Dinosaur, and pick yourself this or any of the other 2020 Collecta releases right now. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe before you do, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.